The title was always meant to be ironic.
Never know just what's around the bend, where to go, where you've been. You'll see the world through my eyes. I think you'd be surprised.
I left the Conan show, and I originally thought, like, I'm going to go to Los Angeles and I'm going to write my own primetime television show, which was incredibly naive, bordering on stupid, really, to think that. Because it's now 7, 8 years later, and I feel like I'm just getting to the point where I could maybe pull that off if nobody asked me a lot of questions. And I ended up, I talked to everybody and ended up with Gail Berman at Fox, getting a deal with them because I really felt like the kind of show that I would want to make would fit well with When Animals Attack and The Simpsons. So I had told Gail, like, I want to write my own show. And she said, yes, of course, you know, and then gave me a lollipop. And she said, but at the same time, I think you should meet with some real writers and see what ideas they have for you.
I got a call saying that Fox had a deal with Andy Richter, and would I be interested in maybe doing something with him? And then it was just that I thought, oh my God, I happen to have something that I think he would be really good in. I was interested in the idea of how life takes you in one direction but can easily take you in another direction, and that we don't get do-overs in life, but it'd be interesting to be on a show or with a character where you do get a do-over, where you can think, it could have gone this way, it could have gone that way.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
Journalists had said that it was Walter Mitty, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, the idea of Andy as a technical writer for a weapons manufacturing company, and he has these flights of fancy about, you know, Hitler is the sandwich guy.
Hitler!
He's in love with Wendy, and she shows up in the red negligee, and now you see it all the time. I don't know if we'd seen a lot of it then.
The narrator was a sort of an untrustworthy narrator. Like, he would be telling you things, and he may backtrack and say, okay, that isn't really how it happened. Wendy was thrilled to death.
Oh my God, Andy, you did it! Yay!
Okay, she wasn't literally thrilled to death, but she was excited, and I was a hero. But just with a lot of chance for fantasy sequences, and for flashbacks, and for this is how I wish it had worked out.
Didn't he, like, crush a coal into a diamond?
That seemed like it just had a lot of possibility.
And then you start to just think of images. Like, I always thought this idea of somebody wanting to be liked, so he wears a jacket with puppies, just seemed like a funny image. So I knew, like, okay, that's something I want to work toward.
When would you ever get to do that? Have a coat full of pockets, full of puppies. That's awesome.
I felt like he invited me into the process of creating the personality of the show. You know, and I was a writer on the show. I think we complemented each other well.
It starts with Victor. There is like an innocence and a naivete there, and a childishness. Not that he's, you know, well, he's a little childish, but it's coming from this innocent place, an observational place, not a judgmental place.
I think it has a satirical look at corporate America, or what it's like to be a little cog in a wheel. Or I describe it in my pitch as, you know, you work for a company that demands 100% loyalty but gives you none.
Oh.
So that was the setting that I wanted to put him in. But I also feel like within that environment, there's a lot of hope that people have, you know, that the human spirit transcends that.
It definitely, we started out feeling like we wanted to have the kind of sensibility be smart-ass but without being mean. I think a healthy dose of absurdity.
I'm on fire!
Trying to approach a realistic situation in kind of office life. The humiliation of the workplace, which is one of my pet themes.
But I do like that people are in this thing together.
Technically, I'm supposed to report you if I detect even a whiff of shenaniganism, and this is definitely okay, I'm in.
That's always how I like to portray the world, because it's kind of like, that's just what I would rather watch. If you get lucky, you have a great cast, and you see it in the pilot, and then you get what you want out of the pilot, and then you know from there where you're going in series. You know, that was a really strong cast, really gifted. Then you just know you can write minimally, which is always better. You can write more, I think, personality stuff. And then it's like real laughs to me.
To me, it was just a really goofy, wacky show that was different from everything else on television and really highlighted, I think, a character version of Andy that really, really suited his real personality.
Andy was, I mean, like from the beginning, you know, I had to do the crying scene, and I'm supposed to hug him, and he just kind of like went, and I just dove into his arms. I was just like, "What? You're here. We're gonna go," you know, and just, you know.
Your arms are very powerful.
Please, just enjoy them.
We hugged from day one, so it made sleeping together later much easier. Andy Richter definitely shares qualities with Andy Richter, but Andy's more confident, a little bit more reserved, the real one. But they are both warm, lovely people.
Obviously, it doesn't suck to come into work and just laugh until you're crying, and that's pretty much the way I was when I was with Richter, because he had this ability to just make you laugh to the point where inside your head you're saying, just whatever you do not laugh at the next thing that comes out of his mouth, because you're coming across as an 8-year-old girl, you know. And sure enough, he'd bust you up.
What is the matter with you people? I'm lovable, damn it!
One time I remember we had an episode when Conan came to do the guest star. And Conan is amazing. He's a force of nature.
Behold my radiance!
The two of them together, boy, you know, Richter and O'Brien, boy, wow. We couldn't get a word in edgewise.
The Andy on the show is like a heightened Andy.
I gave it life!
With like a big oomph of Victor, you know?
Stop it!
You're so scared of me.
The part of Jessica, my boss, Victor had worked with Paget Brewster before, and he wrote the part for her.
I'd worked with Paget before, specifically, adore her. The gift to any comedy writer.
Both of you guys are right here.
What are you doing?
I'm practicing being warmer, buddy.
You're not like the other girls.
There is an archetype of the neurotic, intelligent woman who seems really tough, but is just this, you know, gooey disaster wreckage center.
I must say about Paget, she won me over, I mean, immediately. She's so funny, you want to throw things at her. You know how the kids used to feel at a Beatles concert? They just had these huge feelings, so they just like throw rocks at them. And that's sort of the way I am with Paget. She's so funny that I can't act like myself. I just turn sort of into a monkey, and I want to throw things. Yeah, she's very funny.
I don't know, looks like hummus. No, you're an idiot.
I got a talking to from Victor because of Paget Brewster, because Paget made me laugh so much on set. I think she's so gifted comedically, and she will just take you down.
We just all could never stop laughing, and once we'd get going, you know how laughter is contagious, and then it gets worse and worse. It was really hard to get a shot off after a while.
All right, guys, just get it out.
Especially Paget, early in the morning. Because we were all just dying, because by the time everyone else has like 1 cup of coffee, she's had like 8, and she was just off the wall.
I should not tell this story. There was something we were doing, I think it was during the episode with the kangaroo, and she was laughing so hard between a take that she literally like opened her purse and drooled into it because she couldn't swallow.
Aren't kangaroos vicious?
No, look at them. They're funny.
So you start with the idea of what the character is, and then as the series goes, you dimensionalize them. And I feel like I always want them to be real. Like there is no, like the James Patrick is an example, that could be a very one-note character, Keith. And that was, I believe, that the world favors the good-looking.
Big problem with the... I'm sorry, you're too handsome for this mess. I'll dump it on someone else.
Thanks.
Oh, God, I almost forgot. Because you are so handsome, a bunch of us chipped in and got you an envelope full of money.
You guys.
Japastu. Big J, little a, big P, little a, big S, little T, little U.
Well, I'm James Patrick Stewart. You know, I'm one of those jerks that insist everybody call them by 3 names, which is a gigantic waste of everybody's time. Patrick Stewart insisted that I go by my first name, James Patrick Stewart. So they just got tired of saying James Patrick Stewart to set, James Patrick Stewart to set. Eventually, Mark Salaki and the producer started calling me Japastu, and it stuck.
Stay calm, don't choke.
I did a soap opera in New York in the early 90s, and I think that somebody once said that comedy is total commitment to absurd circumstances.
Oh my God, he's choking.
After I specifically told him not to.
And if that isn't a soap opera, I don't know what is. And then somewhere along the line, I got into sitcoms, so I ended up on auditioning for, it was called Anything Can Happen, and it turned into Andy Richter Controls the Universe. I actually didn't know it was Andy Richter. I thought it was Andy Dick, and then I showed up in the audition. I'm like, oh, that guy. Sure, I know him. So that's, yeah. And then I've been working at Domino's ever since. The Victor Fresco, the show's executive producer, was just constantly surprising you. So cerebral, and the part also, I had played bad guys before, and the Keith character is kind of a bad guy. I mean, in Andy's head, that's what I thought was so genius. He's created the anti-hero in Andy's head. He's not really a bad guy. He wishes no ill will on anybody. But the fact that life comes so easy for the Keith character, I just thought was so clever that it just amplified Andy's neurosis when he's describing his death. And the Keith character has just made love until he was dead. And then they said, here's how I go. And he's got no arms, no legs, and he's lying there in the hospital. And the doctor says, I've taken off your arms and legs, but I can't find the problem. And he goes, I understand. And the doctor says, hey, I don't need your attitude.
I'm a bigot. I assume things about the attractive. I'm a bigot. I assume things about the attractive that I shouldn't.
And I thought, that character is also, you create characters for what they'll say about your main character. And I think that character was interesting for Andy to play against, because here's someone, Andy constantly struggles with everything.
I know.
His work, women, his place in the world. And he's got a very good friend, someone he likes, who just never struggles, who life is always easy for. As the series goes, you then look for, vulnerabilities to them too, to dimensionalize them so they're not just one-note people,
I'm not perfect.
And I remember we did an episode where James has unusually small feet. And that, not to say that made him hugely vulnerable, but he's got his issues. So I like that kind of character, but I didn't want him to feel that conceited about it. I think he just accepts it, probably, matter-of-factly, and he's a good guy. He's not a jerk. He just, life treats him well, so, he can take advantage of that.
He was so well cast as Keith, that guy that just drives everybody crazy. That is him.
James Patrick Stewart, he's internationally handsome, and he's really funny and very subtle and self-aware. James Patrick Stewart would be admired for his beauty in Bora Bora, Germany, Iceland, Namibia. He's specially top 1%. Is that a word?
She did. What is that? I think, you know what that means? I think that means that they don't get me domestically. I think it's a dig. I think that's what she's doing. But she's certainly transcontinentally sexy and funny.
And he's kind of arrogant. He knows it. I mean, he knows it. He knows he's really talented. It works for him, though.
For being the guy that was, supposed to be the handsome guy, he was far too funny to be the handsome guy.
Jessica's coming. Act like we're talking.
Actually, we are.
Hurry!
La 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 la.
I mean, he's a very handsome man, of course, although time hasn't treated him well. No, he's still very, very handsome.
Don't ever lose that.
But he just was so perfect, and Irene was great. And something like Irene, in a classic way, she was kind of the ingenue, the pretty girl. And I was in the writer's room. I saw them starting to, giving her jokes that she sold like a pro.
Bring me some coffee!
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I'm participating in a drug study.
You could see the writers become inspired by her.
There's my little man.
Better go.
I'd like a swing like that on my porch.
Irene we found late in the process, and I think we literally found her a day or two before we were shooting. It's hard to find those very, very attractive women who are also really comedically gifted.
The real tragedy is that when he went to dial 911, he forgot to dial 911. I sent a memo. I went in and it was hilarious, and I got to meet Andy, and I loved him right away, and thought that the chemistry was good and it was going to be really funny.
She was new with the company. Then we got her quickly into a relationship with Keith. We thought that would be fun.
Wendy was goofy to me, you know, because she was, you know, when you start as just the receptionist, there's just so many places to go.
Are you sure it's okay for me to be sitting here?
Oh my God, have you been here the whole time?
But she ended up becoming very goofy, and she was kind of funny in the way that she was very straightforward and frank and kind of, I don't know, off the turnip truck a bit.
In the pilot, Andy tells me that he thinks she's so gorgeous and unattainable, and then the Keith character says, oh, definitely, only she's not. And it turns out that they start dating.
I just remember laughing a lot with James. I mean, we always had these silly kisses and the biggity, diggity, diggity, biggity boom kiss. What is that?
Sounds like she gave you a very innocent thanks for a lovely evening kiss, not a slappity slappity boogity boogity boom kiss. You were able to locate Irene Malloy. We don't know where she is half the time. She went and recorded an album in Yugoslavia, and there was a drummer boyfriend, and then no one could find her. We didn't know where she was. And then she was in Philadelphia. I think she got married. I know she has a beautiful little girl. They showed up at my house last year. I gave her my car for a month. And then one day the car was there washed. She was gone. She's like a spirit. And a great voice. She's a great singer.
She, you know, later developed that she had all these dreams of being a singer. I guess that had come from, you know, my history as a singer, and Victor added that.
Girl can do anything. I mean, anything. We went to see, as a cast, we went to go see, she did a show. She's an amazing artist. She's just so good. Really funny.
Is that the phone number?
No, that's not a phone number. Now that's a phone number.
Get it? Like Crocodile Dundee.
I don't remember that part.
You know, Jonathan Slavin was just, you know, made that character what could have been a very stock kind of character, you know, like the nebbish office mate. He made it really alive and different and unique.
I am a man, and I pay my debts. So don't patronize me.
He is so gifted, but he's so peculiar also, I think. Just his, you know, just Slavin, whatever he is. It's so odd. Like, he should be one of those guys that gets the sensors put on them, and he walks around and they make Gollum out of him or something for like a Lord of the Rings.
Jocko Slavin. I've had a connection with him. We just had, I don't know, we go back past lives. I think we were Siamese cats in some Egyptian pyramid somewhere. No, we connected immediately.
I fought really hard to get this part, actually. I was just reading through the material, and I got this character, I got the humor. So I called my agent, and I said, you know, I hear they're moving quickly on this, and I really want to go in for this. And they wouldn't see me. That casting was like, he's not right, he's not at all what we're thinking of for this. And the day before they were gonna go test at studio, we just called one of the executives at Fox, and we're like, please see Jonathan, please, like, let him come in for this. And I went in and left, and on my way to my car, I got a phone call.
You know what it's like to kill someone with your pain. It hurts.
Byron was this emotional disaster of an individual. Everything that he felt was just out there. He was socially inept. He was totally awkward. He had no editing skills. He was terrified of the world, terrified of people, yet anxious to engage. You know, he was twitchy. They wouldn't let me cut my hair for like 2 years, so I had this like kind of thing going on. And they were like, no, we're gonna let it just keep growing. It'll be funny. And then periodically they take a straight razor and like hack off a chunk so it would stick out that way. It's so funny. It's like, right, I go home like this. Like, just, but you know, he was a great character to play.
Show me! What kind of monster are you?
Victor is obviously a really funny man, and I loved all his scripts, but it's hilarious because when you meet him, he's so serious, and you just don't think that, you know, out of his mind is gonna come, you know, all the crazy things that Andy does and says, and Mr. Pickering, the dead guy walking around the office and all that stuff, because you didn't think that would come out of such a, you know, serious person.
I'm serious about Irina. Why won't anyone believe me?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just hard to believe you could ever be in love with something not covered in sauce.
He's a genius. I mean, he really is. I mean, he just, he's so clever. And there's 19 episodes. I mean, They were superb. I mean, I thought the scripts were all good, but the ones that he wrote were just superb. And sure enough, I mean, he wrote the pilot. It was instantly nominated for an Emmy.
I am in awe of his work, and every actor who reads his stuff is exactly the same way. If I could just work with one writer for the rest of my career, it would be him. He has such a specific voice.
And Victor loves animals. He's always writing stuff with animals. And then there was a leopard, I think, or something. And the leopard started eating Andy's shoe because it was made out of leather. And to get the leopard to do what the trainers wanted it to do, they didn't feed it for a day. So this thing started going to town on Andy's foot. The kangaroo was trippy. And it's fighting my friend. It tips its head all the way back and starts going at you. Crazy.
The fantasies were very specific. And I think also it was edgy and it was sometimes biting, but we never lost sort of the heart of these people either.
Victor was constantly surprising you. Irene and I worked in full suits of armor one episode.
I love thee. It hath nothing to doth with that.
You know, there was another time when they cut to Andy and I. We both had mustaches and we were wearing like, village people workout clothes or something, and we went in for a kiss and they stopped just before. I mean, anything could happen.
I just remember Andy coming out in these crazy outfits. It was like a G-string bustier with like high heels and everything.
You mean it's not Casual Friday?
They made him do it. Just anything and everything.
Getting a new script, you just never knew. You just never knew what was gonna happen. I mean, like, who's falling off a building? Like, the sky was the limit.
Every time a new script came out, like going to the read, really excited and just to see what they were gonna come up with.
Everything tastes better fried.
But you're frying a grilled cheese sandwich, isn't that redundant?
If redundant means doubly delicious, then yes.
Fried Caesar salad.
Try it. Let's taste it.
Good.
It's a pencil.
Ew! Don't do it. It's a pencil.
I know, he made me one yesterday. They're smoky.
I just remember laughing uncontrollably for all the months that we were shooting.
I feel so vital.
Whoa. How long have you been there?
I don't know. Just don't step on my face.
My favorite episode is the one about the anti-Semitism and the penis. Like, because anytime you bring those two things together, it's magic.
The way our characters behave towards each other in the show is the way we behave towards each other off the show. We were antagonistic and friends, and we hung out together, and we loved being together, and we were all radically different people. But it worked.
I knew you were gonna ask that. Can you turn it off for one second?
I just can't say enough good things about every one of them. They were so good to me.
Andy Richter Controls the Universe was that really kind of perfect lightning in a bottle, just emotionally, creatively, and personally. And the fact that we're all still friends and talk and email is a testament to that.
We just really loved to make each other laugh. We really had each other's backs in a big way.
It really was heartbreaking when it ended.
The roughest thing was that we had connected so deeply with each other, and you hear that all the time. It sounds pat, but we really did. We loved each other so much, and still do. You know, that hasn't ended.
The fan response I've experienced is more the aftermath and just people who are praying for the DVD to come out and watching it on the HD network and catching it in different places. So I get messages on the internet all the time from people just obsessed with it or like quoting lines to me from the show. And even up till now, like years and years later, people still send me like rabid fan messages like, I love this show more than anything in the world, and what are you doing? You know, you have to act, you have to sing, you know, don't sing. I get those a lot. Like, I have a MySpace page with music on it, like, don't sing, make the Andy Richter show come back. Like, I have that power, you know.
Cult following is the best goddamn thing in the world.
You know, they were very, very loyal fans, and I appreciate all four of you. And thank you for buying the DVD.
I think it appealed to the people who have that same sense of humor.
I also just think if you have ever worked in an office and had a group of people around you, you get it. If you have ever been forced to share a cubicle, if you have ever wanted to put a waste paper basket over someone's head and beat them with a phone, like, you get this show. And it's always great to take a trip in someone's head.
Hey, guys, wait. Andy is about to turn 1 billion seconds old.
Here it comes. And now. Yay! It's over.